Well, with Toby and Chloe, both non-specifically accusing the other one of cheating in the relationship, but who's the one that, particularly with their body language, looks as though they're being the more honest. I'm going to come straight out and say, I wouldn't trust either of them particularly, but one of them might just have the edge. We have two different responses to this idea of being the one that cheated. For Toby, self-pity. Tears, how could anybody think that I would do that? This is not who I am. Chloe, a complete state of aggressive arousal, angry. It was like one long hen night for her, all men cheat, etc., etc., etc. So let's go through it more specifically with the body language. Toby began his little speech lying out on the bed. Now, he had his legs fully splayed, which is normally a sign of sexual confidence. When we feel under threat, or if somebody says, oh, you know, you've been cheating, no, I haven't, there would be a tendency to kind of close the legs up rather than splaying it in some kind of sexual boast. His head was away from the camera. And again, that might imply that he wasn't too sure about his acting ability when it came to his facial expressions. His wingman here was also perfect. It was Anton. Now, Anton decided to do this sort of, oh, you know, I know you're not like that. I can see you're not like that. And he was kind of winding Toby up to a certain extent. You wouldn't do that. You're a nice guy. How would you then turn around and say, well, actually, I did? So he was almost colluding in the whole story by playing the really nice man in the scenario. What we got verbally from Toby was it was only he was taking the prompts from Anton. Anton was actually saying all the right words rather than Toby, interestingly enough. Toby was nodding and going along with the story. His line was, it wasn't my choice to end it. Now, that could be somebody that's cheated and their partner's ended it, as well as somebody that has been cheated on. So that was not particularly conclusive. What we got from his body language then, his brows were raised. So we got this innocent eye expression. But then with his mouth, we got a lip snarl. So there was still some anger and some disgust going on there. He used a lot of eye cutoffs. And by that, I mean, he looked down quite a lot at the biggest points of what he was saying. Now, we don't trust our eyes to lie for us. So when you see somebody that looks down at those big moments, often it should be a little bit of a red flag that they maybe aren't being quite as honest as they should be. We did, though, get some real tears. When he went down the memory of what happened, he produced a Meghan Markle, a one tear. So obviously, how can you tell when it's real tears? You see the actual tear appear. He used the phrase, I can't lie to you, before he started speaking. I always think, why would anybody say that unless they're about to? But they use it a lot on Love Island, so I'm not going to hold that against him. Lots of sneering, lots of lip snarling. And then when he'd finished, he threw his head back with the tears. So it's very dramatic, so he couldn't control his emotions. He started to bite his thumb. Now, that as a gesture, it can suggest upset, but it's also a self-attack. And we do self-attacks like nail biting, pulling at hair, when we want to attack the other person, but we can't, so we attack ourselves. So that might have been anger against Chloe. All of that, very difficult. And from the end of that, would you say he was being honest, or would you not say he was being honest? I think he put on a very good performance. If he was acting, he's an extremely good actor. There were a few holes in his story. And then we got the speech later. He started to go too far with his speech when he started saying things like, I don't think I could ever do it. I'm scarred. I'll never cheat on anybody for the rest of my life. He was a bit of a player, I think we need to remember, in Love Island the first time around. So this is not, you know, Mr. Innocent standing there. However, he does seem to regurgitate genuine upset at the memory of whatever happened. Chloe, on the other hand, is a bit hilarious. You know, all men are cheats. Well, that usually means that I can cheat because it doesn't matter. They're going to cheat on me anyway. She wasn't specific. She was coming up with cliches. She had a very tight grip on the stem of her mic, and that would imply the fact that she was definitely angry about something that a guy's done to her. But her eyes were flicking around while she was speaking. There was no looking at the person that was interviewing her and saying, "Oh no, I've been cheated on." No signs of emotional scarring going on there particularly. And phrases that again are so big that you can't believe them. Girls don't do that. That's a bit huge. And she knows that because she's been in Love Island. She's seen the women cheat as well. So I didn't believe that one. She also started to go very much on the attack in terms of revenge. We got this, "I've got friends in high places." What on earth was she on about? And then she pointed her finger, she starts stabbing her finger. So I don't know, it was a performance of bravado. None of it looked genuine, to be honest. She wasn't going to go down the self-pity route. We got the puff cheeks, we got the eye flash, and she then said in the vote that she would be the one most likely to cheat. She voted for herself in that one, but then she leapt out of her seat and "I cheat back." So I think we've got a mixture of very angry, aggressive arousal emotions from Chloe, and therefore you would have to give the edge to Toby as being the one that managed to do a better performance, maybe, of looking like the one that might not have cheated. I think that we do have to keep in mind that their careers are riding on this to a certain extent. I mean, Toby's sitting there with cameras all around him. He knows that. He's also got to look like the good guy because he won't stand a chance of winning Love Island, All Stars, and at the moment he's in quite a cozy position for that one. But then suddenly this bombshell that, "Oh, you know, you're the one that would cheat." So he almost needed to fight back. Also, he does tend to do the old dating shows, and I think people aren't going to use him quite so much if they think that he's the bad guy or the one that will automatically be a player or cheat on women. So I suppose out of the two of them, he was the one that was most cornered at that point, and probably felt the need to do his own bit of PR in terms of speech and in terms of denial, in terms of body language. Chloe, not quite so much because she's working on podcasts. I mean, you know, she's still carrying on working outside of Love Island. And a lot of it seems to be things where it's kind of angry women all together and all slagging off men. And I suppose she's probably got the less to lose in actual fact. I mean, probably if she said that she had cheated, she'd get carried shoulder high around the studio. Whereas Toby has burnt all his bridges now, because if we do find out after this tearful performance that it was him, he is in deep trouble. I think Grand Toby might actually have taken a big hit if that happens.